Today I'm going to be doing a garden tour for you, and this will be our first one for our 2020 growing season. And I'm no expert gardener, I'm just here to show you our successes and our failures. Now let's jump on into the garden and show you what we're talking about. So here in our first raised beds, see, we've got lots of bare spots. We didn't get very good germination, but I think more on my part, I didn't keep it wet enough for them to germinate and grow. So we've got our beets right here. We planted a mixture. The packet was just a mixture of a couple different kinds. So they're just starting out, but really nice, beautiful beet tops that you can eat. And then we only got a few carrots that germinated. Just a few. And now we have our peas. I have pulled some out. Just this crazy weather is not helping them out of being so hot. As you can see, those ones, the ones that are a yellow color, I need to take out. But this variety isn't doing too bad, but my marker faded, so I don't remember what kind it is. And then I did have lettuce here, but only my rainbow Swiss chard actually is producing. But I did go ahead and actually sprinkle just a big mixture of the lettuce throughout this bare spot so that we can have more lettuce. And I just put a bunch of different kinds in a packet just to get it mixed up and sprinkled it over. And then I just sprinkled a little bit more dirt on top and am keeping this moist as much as I can. And then some of our stuff is already going to seed because of this heat. Although this is doing well so far. This head though is gonna be going to seed. I see how it's just like getting taller. It's heading to seed. But we will be eating off of it really soon for a dinner. And see, marker's completely faded. No idea what it was. I think it's a butter crunch though. I think. And then this was a butter head. And then we've got our kale is going. This is a red Russian kale. It's the only one that survived. And then these are so got these three plants are a daikon radish. And I only had a few seeds. I think I planted them all. So I am letting it all go to seed so that I can get more. Had a quick mishap. He just hit his head on the corner, so. Yeah, so I'm letting them all go to seed so that I can then in return get more seeds and I can plant more here in the fall. Then I also had some romaine lettuce that also just letting it go to seed. Although this isn't completely going to go to waste because I will be feeding it to the chickens and to our pigs. Just once I get the seeds, then I'll feed it to them. And I've also got a little sunflower here. There what? Little sunflower there. Although the top broke off, probably because our cat was rolling here and snipped it off. But we do have another one right here growing. Dang ants, keep them off. And now in our second bed, we have our crooknecks. And you might be thinking that's a lot of crooknecks. Plant-wise, I did keep in mind that I wanted to plant extra because I wanted to help supplement our animals' feed with this extra produce. So it won't go to waste, it will go to the pigs and the chickens to help give them some tasty treats. And then we have our sweet potatoes that are coming along. This one might be troublesome of not getting enough sunlight. I'll probably just have to take extra precautions of just snipping off leaves from the crookneck to help give that sweet potato the sunlight it needs. But they're getting big and doing well. And then we have some cabbages. I've got a total of 5 heads there. All starting to form. Nice and firm down in there. It's my first time ever growing cabbage. I'm pretty excited. And then I have just a couple of plants that survived of celeriac. Celeriac and celery are very close to the same. Celeriac grows like celery, but you harvest it more for its root. It will produce a big tuber, kind of like a potato, and you can cook it up kind of like you do potatoes. You can roast it, you can mash it up, but really good. You can also eat the tops like celery, but I'm more so going to use the roots part, the root ball. And then we have our zucchinis. I did just do 2 plants of this. I think I had a 3rd one, but I decided to pull it out. And I got my first zucchini that I ate this morning. Got our next little one forming. So I did want to show you the difference between a female flower and a male flower, because you have to have both in order to get your fruit. So we have this flower. This is a female flower. It has the zucchini already forming on it, but it's still, the one behind it is better. Once this opens up, it has to get pollinated from the male flower. And then these 2 are both male flowers. They don't have fruit forming like this one. It's just a stem with the flower. So it has to have, so male, female. And you have to have both in order for them, for you to get actual fruit. You can hand pollinate it yourself. Take pollen from the male, put it on the female. If you are not getting a good, if you're not having success with getting actual fruit forming. Because if it doesn't get pollinated, it will grow a little bit more, but then this blossom will die, and on a zucchini this will turn yellow, and then it has not been pollinated, and you would just pluck that off. But so far I don't have any that have not been pollinated. Everything's been pollinated and doing well. And then here in this pot we've got lemon balm. The heat did some damage over there to it. I need to pluck it off, but it's coming back nicely. And now we have all of our tomatoes. They're doing really excellent. This is a calendula plant, or some people say calendula. Chickens love eating this, so do the rabbits that we have. Not only does this help attract pollinators, but it has medicinal purposes. And then I'm wanting to keep some seeds, so I'm letting the heads fully dry out on the plant so I can get some seeds so I can have more for next year. Our biggest tomato so far. It's a pretty good size, off to a good start. This is a Better Boy variety, so more for my canning purposes that I will use that for. So I actually, all the tomatoes that are here in the middle are all Better Boys. Got some nice ones forming there as well. And then this plant is kind of fun. So this is called a Wild Fred Dwarf tomato. So they produce a beef steak sized tomato, but the plants are dwarf varieties. So they are like, you know, half the size, but they're just a cute little plant. And then I also have marigolds planted to also help attract pollinators. And then this little plant, this tomato, is a sucker that I pulled off and just stuck straight in the ground. And as you can see, like some of it died back, so some of it died, but it does have new growth, so it did take, and we've got a little blossom there. I don't remember what variety it is. Once it gets bigger and I see what the fruit is, then I'll know what it is. It's got a cute, just a tiny one forming. And this is my persimmon tomato. So they, like the fruit of persimmon, they are an orange fruit. And these two cucumber plants are a Japanese long cucumber. They are a munching, slicing cucumber. They're like an English cucumber. Need to get this guy tied up. Just more of the mammoth basil. So I did have an issue here with this single tomato. I'm still not 100% sure what happened, if it was a lack of nutrients, but I don't know. I still gotta figure out. It is coming back though. I've got new growth coming right there. What did you bring me? No?
Eggs.
You brought me eggs? Okay, be careful. Go put them back. And this one is a San Marzano tomato. It's a paste tomato, so it grows elongated. My first one. This is my first time growing it as well. But it's doing good. Our lemon basil that smells just divine. And then our cinnamon basil, and I've got blossoms that I need to pop off so that it continues to grow, because I still want more. Next up, our pepper bed. You hear a horse? Oh my goodness. Cool. We've got a lot of blossoms coming on. See? Loaded with blossoms. Super excited with all these peppers. We have a lot of peppers this year because we're basically starting from scratch. I have 0 canned goods with moving, and this being our second garden, but it's our first large garden. But I have just a bunch of different varieties. I've got green bell peppers, orange, red, yellow bell peppers, and then I've got jalapeno, serranos. I know that this guy is like the lunchbox pepper variety, those cute little bell peppers. Got some glorious parsley. And We have our dill that is going to seed. Oh, I see we got one pepper. Do you see that? Oh, so cute. I'm not so, I think this is probably a serrano. I think it's a serrano pepper. Oh, we got some more peppers there. I think this is a bell pepper. Just lots and lots of peppers. And then this is a ground cherry. So it's kind of like a sweet, fruity tomato, but they grow with these little husks on them, like tomatillos do. And then they, once they're ripened, the husks turns yellow and open up, and then you can eat them. This is my first year growing them. And it's loaded already. Grows really low to the ground so far. I don't know like how tall it gets, but I think it's more of like a spreading plant. So that is why I planted it here in the corner, so that it can go over the corners nicely. And then on this side, I put our pickling cucumbers. Get that trained up. You see we got some nice blossoms going on. So I'm excited to have our trellis to be covered with our cucumber varieties. And then we have our strawberry bed, also onions. But, so we are at the beginning of July, and we still got blossoms going on. I'm really loving this variety. I have 3 different varieties. I'm loving this one the most. It is a jewel. And it is still producing. I've had the largest berries off of it so far. This is, you know, the first year, so you can't expect too much. But I'm definitely loving this one and might order more, because I'm loving those ones the most. But we are getting a lot of shoots off the sides, which they will produce another plant. They will root themselves, and I will have more plants. I will have more starts off of those. And our onions are doing well so far. This is my first time growing an onion. So learning curve, don't know what I'm doing, trying my best. You can see that's starting to get bigger. I have 3 different varieties of onions. I have just a couple, I think there's like 4 there, of a red onion that I started myself. They just didn't work out too well. And then we have a Utah Spanish onion. And then we have Walla Wallas, and then here back is more of the Spanish onions for storing. Here we have some oregano. I need to find out the best way of harvesting them, how to harvest it so that I can get the best yield off of them, because I use a ton of oregano in my cooking. So I need to look that up. If you know how, let me know in the comments. And this is a first time for me. I am trying out an eggplant. We'll see how that goes. Now here in the in-ground garden, we have melons and squashes. We have our potatoes and corn on the end. I honestly don't remember what variety. I know these are pumpkins. But also, sadly, we have a couple of fire ants heels on the other side of this fence. And they keep coming over and eating all the little starts that shoot up. And it's really annoying me. I know how to get rid of them. I just need to do it. So we don't have a whole lot. I know there's nothing in those for. We've got one there, and that's a sugar pumpkin for some yummy pumpkin pie. And then I also have a sunflower right there. And then I think this one was a sweet meat squash. I think. I don't know where the marker. There it is. Yep, sweet meat squash. This is a first for me of growing that. We have another sunflower. And then I did have honeydew growing here, but none of it's come up. Or it got killed. Next we have our corn. I only planted a little bit because I can get it for cheap at a local farm stand around us. But it's doing good so far. And then we got our potatoes. I do have a lot of this, we call it salt grass, and I'm not gonna fight it. It's a bugger to get rid of, so it can keep growing. It doesn't bother me. I just pull out plants, weedy, actual weedies, I call them weeds, plants that I don't want, like this guy. This type I will pull out. I don't want that, but I'm fine with this grass growing. But we're gonna have some blossoms coming on soon. And they're a pretty little purple flower. And it just another indication to let you know that potatoes are forming. So this pear tree was planted here before we got here, but it had been neglected a ton. I pruned it back a lot, and I've already plucked off. Ooh, what's that guy? And I've gone through and thinned them when they were much smaller, because a lot of them had like 2 coming off, and you want to pick the biggest one, keep that, pluck the other one off, so that you can have larger fruit. This sucker is loaded. I did give it fertilizer in the spring. I've just been watering it, and it is doing awesome. I have no idea what variety of pear it is, but we love pears. And these apple trees were also already planted here, but just like the pears, were neglected, had not been pruned in many years. So we pruned them way back. Not as many apples on this tree. I think just with our pruning didn't allow for a lot of lateral growth for them to produce the blossoms. But there's some on there. But on this one, there are many more apples. And I also went through and thinned them. I don't know what variety they are, but I know that each tree is a different variety. I can just tell by the bark. They are both different. But look how big that guy already is. It's gonna be a big ol' apple. Sucker's tall because we did top it, but it is just a growing. Thanks for walking in the garden with me. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I love being able to document it and see where we are in a month. See just how far along our garden is coming and seeing all the wonderful things that it can produce to feed our family. If you like these garden tours, let me know, and I would love to keep making them. This cat loves being in the garden. Huh, you love being in the garden with us. Thanks for coming along on our walk in the garden, and we'll see you next time. Huh, what you making?
We're making dirt.
You're making dirt?
Yep.
And what homestead isn't complete without a litter of puppies? This is Lily. She is a pure Siberian Husky. And these little cuties we are keeping. That one right there facing us. Her name is Sitka. Sitka! And she has 2 colored eyes. Sitka. One is blue. And then the other, I'm trying to decide what color it is because it's not brown. It's kind of a hazel. But she's pretty and sweet. But they have gorgeous blue eyes because Lily does. Hey, puppy, 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 puppies.